Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्म विद्वरं हरि ओम. We will chant the Dhyana Shloka. Om Namaste Astu Bhagavan Vishveshwaraya Mahadevaya Trayambakaya Tripurantakaya Trikalagnikalaya Kalagnirudraya Neelakantaya Mrtyunjayaya Sarveshwaraya Sadashivaya Shriman Mahadevaya Namaha. So we will talk today about Mrtyunjayaya. We'll talk about Mrtyunjayaya. And Mrtyunjayaya means death and victory. Mrityu means death and Jaya means victory. The Lord who has won over death. In Vedanta, we say what is born, or whoever is born has to die. And what dies will be reborn. So what is Mrityunjaya then? One who abides in the nature as pure consciousness, which is unborn, is the one who has gone beyond death. And Bhagwan is that infinite consciousness, which is beyond death, beyond change, and beyond, even beyond birth. No birth, no change, no death. He is Ajaha, unborn. He is Avyaya, means unchanging. And he is Avinashi, that means imperishable. It's everything, all three. So Lord Shiva is that infinite consciousness. That which is finite, limited, will perish. That which is infinite is imperishable. The second meaning is one who protects the devotee from death, from disease, from change, from sorrow is Mrtyunjaya. So it is said that having united with whom the Lord, the rishis, the devatas, the saints, the sages, everyone who comes to know themselves, who they are, they destroy the bondage of death. And so it is said the Maha Mrtyunjaya Mantra, the mantra that we are chanting, it helps the devotee from untimely death. It helps the devotee from untimely death. It helps to strengthen your health. It removes disease and ill health. And it protects us from the physical harm or destruction. So in this way, Lord Shiva helps us directly as well as through the mantra. The other way Lord helps us or Lord protects us is by giving us the knowledge of the self, the knowledge of that imperishable absolute self, which is our true nature. That's who we are. And when we realize that, when we abide in that knowledge, then we go beyond death. But please remember, I just said in the beginning that he who is born will die. So, what does that mean? That if we will, the devotee of the Lord will not have a physical death? No, the devotee of the Lord will also drop the body at some time, but the pain and the suffering associated with it is destroyed through the right knowledge. So once you have the knowledge, the anxiety, the fear of death is gone. So Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda, he used to roar in his pravachans. He used to give huge pravachans with so thousands of people in India, especially in Mumbai, big in big places. And he would roar very loudly. And you know what he would say? He says, everybody dies, but no one dies. And he would say this 3 or 4 times. Everybody dies, but no one dies. And the people would be stunned and confused. Says, how is that? What is he talking about? And then he would explain. He would say, this body will die. This body is perishable, this body will die. But the one inside your heart is imperishable, and that does not die. So in Hindi, we say body is Nashwant and Atma is Amar. So the body perishes, but the Atma is imperishable. So, in the Leela of Markandeya Rishi, Lord Shiva was his Ishta Devata. He had deep faith that Lord will protect his devotees because Lord is Bhakta Vatsala. And at the end of the Leela of Markandeya Rishi, he sings a stuti for Bhagwan. It's called Chandra Shekhara Ashtakam. And in that, he at the end of every stanza, he says, I take refuge in the Lord. What will Yama do to me? And God conferred immortality on Markandeya Rishi, and he made him a Chiranjeevi. So he's one of the 8 Chiranjeevis in this Kalpa. So true immortality is when we wake up to that absolute self. Now I'll also say something about Neelakantaya. Neelakantaya means blue neck. Neela is blue, neck, Kanta is neck. It is the story where Lord Shiva took the halahal poison. Halahal was the poison to save the world with his compassion. He consumed that poison, which is considered lethal, which is destructive, it is inauspicious. But when this poison was associated with Lord Shiva, it became auspicious, it became his radiance, it became his beauty, it became like a jewel adorning his neck, the blue color, and it became his majesty and brilliance. So it is said that one who drinks the amrit, the nectar, becomes immortal. So it is the devas and the asuras who were doing the samudra manthan and they wanted to obtain this amrit. So one who consumes this amrit gets relative immortality. The devas, they were looking for it, they got it. So they got a relative immortality. And the one who consumes the poison and is absolutely immortal is Mahadeva, the Lord Shambhu. And so he is the one who drank the poison and still was Mahadev. It didn't affect him at all. So, ordinary people like us, we get crushed under difficult situation, under challenges, we have problems. But people who have a very strong mind, they face adversity and they face it with a large amount of strength. And sometimes we are impressed with that strength. And these are the people who take more challenges in life. And if it means to save humanity or they have a right cause, they will put in all their effort. They are ready to go through all the challenges in life because the cause is very important to them. And they face it with a smile, not becoming bitter in the heart or feeling victimized. They do so because they have this conviction of the cause. The cause is very important to them. And Lord Shiva represents that conviction in us, that higher goal, that higher purpose in us. So, the spirit of selfless dedication to a higher purpose, a higher cause, both out of active compassion, is indicated by the name Neelakantha. It is also called Sri Kantaya. So, either of the names, Neelakantaya or Sri Kantaya. When we see suffering in the world, we see a lot. When we see suffering in the world, our minds can have this compassion. But it is a passive compassion. We may not do anything about it. We say we are sorry to see something happening, but we don't really take an active part in all these things. But when great masters see that there is sorrow and suffering going on in the world, they immediately manifest that compassion. They really manifest that compassion. And it becomes an active, a dynamic compassion. And in spite of criticism, censure, punishment, these great souls, they really put in a lot of effort. So it is like holding a poison like Lord Shiva, not allowing the poison of bitterness to make their heart bitter, not heart bitter, not the poison not going down to their heart, doesn't make their heart bitter, and not going to their head feeling like a victim. So that capacity we have to cultivate and live a very purposeful life of service. That service to the society, which we call karma yoga, then that poison becomes a glory, a radiance, or a majestic decoration for us. So may that Lord Shiva, that Shambhu, give us that capability to have this active compassion for our fellow men, for our fellow creatures, and may we also live up to that name and be his bhakta. Hari Om.